Hi, my name is Bob White. In an earlier newsletter, you had notice of a Santa Clara Valley habitation plan.
Yes.
And I'm just curious, who benefits by that plan? Is it really 532,000 acres of the county? And where do you stand on it?
Sure. It's called the Habitat Conservation Plan. Very, very interesting. It's been going on for 7 years. The reason it came about is when the county wanted to expand 101 down to South County out on an extra lane, they spoke to Fish and Game and Fish and Wildlife, and they said, well, you're going to eat up all this land and protected species and da-da-da. We'll let you do this if you agree to create a habitat conservation plan that's happening throughout the state. And the county said, okay, and there were 3 other projects that had to do with Coyote Valley approval for that project didn't materialize. But there were 4 projects where the state Fish and Game and Fish and Wildlife said, okay, but in return, we want to have a habitat conservation plan that has a plan to protect these various endangered species, da-da-da-da. So for 7 years, the county and a few cities have worked together and spent $6 million and come up with this habitat conservation plan that I learned about for the first time 6 months ago. So again, I started peeling away the layers, looking at it to see what it was. And I'm going, wow, this is really a noble idea to do. And my predecessor assured me that the HCP would allow developers a faster process and a less expensive one. Because instead of the developer having to go to Fish and Game and Fish and Wildlife and over here, they could go to one person at the county, because we already had an arrangement with the state, and we said, we the county are setting aside this acreage to protect animals. So when developers come in, they can pay a fee and get it developed, and it would expedite things. Well, the more I looked at it, the more I saw that it would take longer and cost more money. So I said, how about, let's see, I'll use the right term here. If one plan was the Cadillac, what do you want to call the other one? The Hyundai? You know what I'm saying? And the economy model. Luxury and the economy model. I said, well, what's the least that we can do? Everybody said, what? I said, what's the least expensive plan we can create to satisfy our obligation to Fish and Game and Fish and Wildlife? They said, we don't know. We've never done that. Now me, if I'm building my kitchen, remodel my kitchen, I tell them I want to do this, 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 and that, it'll be this. Then the contractor will say, okay, but if you want to do marble instead of linoleum, and if you want to do Moen instead of Sears, and you know what I mean? You get the economy and luxury. Well, they spent 7 years and $6 million developing the ideal habitat conservation plan, which I don't think is quite right. 2 of my supervisors are in favor of it going forward. 2 of my supervisors are not so crazy about it going forward. So I'm in the middle. So what I suggested was, let's get a quote on an economy model. What's the bare bones habitat conservation plan that we can do to satisfy our obligation and commitments we put? Well, I had a fight there, because people didn't want to spend more time and more money. So I said, look, you spent 7 years, what's 90 more days? You spent $6 million, what's 35,000 more? So at the end of September, they're going to come back with the economy version of the HCP, which I'm hoping, instead of being a 50-year plan, is a 30-year plan. Instead of being the current rates, is about 25% less, and they can prove to me it will be less expensive and less timely than the status quo. And then I will know how I want to vote. Good. Gotcha. Okay, yes. I'm going to shorten my answers dramatically. Go Giants! Fire away.
Hi, I'm Ray Strong, and I'd like to know, what do you anticipate will be the effect on the county budget of Obama's scheduled cut in Medicare?
Very quickly. It's expected. See, the county's health system, majority of people go there, don't have insurance. Okay? It's supposed to produce, the Obama healthcare is supposed to produce additional income, because you'll still have people coming there, and there'll be insurance of sort. So the way our analysts have looked at it is the National Healthcare Program will produce more revenue to the county than we currently receive from patients.
My name is Mike Thomas. Based on the scenario you presented and taking all the counties in California, do you believe they have, each one has a slush fund like the one you experienced? And if you do, it's very terrifying to me that something like that could exist, because I believe the apple probably doesn't fall far from the tree.
Thank you. There's 58 counties in the state. Santa Clara County is the 4th or 5th biggest one behind LA and San Diego and a few others. I don't believe there's a slush fund there. I believe they're all effectively, see, they're not bankrupt, because that means your liabilities exceed your assets. And the county owns a lot of land, a lot of buildings, a lot of things. But they all have a projected annual deficit, as Pete mentioned, 5 years of red ink ahead. One thing that's scary, the county pays every 2 weeks. The county's payroll is $90 million every 2 weeks, $6 million a day, $84 million. They've only got $85 million in the bank. They've only got enough for one pay period. None of you would operate a business with enough, only one pay period. Yes?
Is that artificial fund like a slush fund? I mean, they have money, they don't have any people, and they just move the money around. They have money.
Yes, they spend the money on other stuff.
That's right.
Yes, they still spent $200 million more, even though it was over here, instead of over here. They didn't spend it here, but they did spend it over here. So they still spent $200 million more. They still have $200 million more in expenses than revenue.
That's right.
Yeah. Go Giants. Okay.
I mean, I'll ask you the same question I was going to ask Pete. You know, in my lifetime experience in working with unions, I found that you always pay the workers at least double what you would normally pay a non-union person for doing a worse job and working less hours. So, what's to prevent you guys from just getting rid of the unions out of government?
Sure, great answer. And first of all, Lori Smith, the sheriff, to her credit, she recognized where she could cut expenses from her book. Okay, those funded vacant positions, and she did that. She recognized how she could move people around. So she recognized how she could still provide the same level of service, but still make her budget quota, whatever it was, $15 million. So that worked out well. As far as unions and non-unions, you know, it's all about the people. Unfortunately, the way the system is set up now, when people are let go, it's because they have least experience. It doesn't have to do with your skill level. There's not the annual evaluations. You know, if you had to let go of somebody in your company, you would let go of the least productive person. In the unions, they have to let go of the person with the least tenure. And if we had to let go, for instance, of you, because you only had 5 years of tenure, okay, we're going to eliminate your position, you don't get eliminated. If you have 3 years with the county, you bump her. And you go perhaps from social services to landscaping. Okay? But you're a social services person, you're a landscaping person. You a landscaper get bumped and somebody else is different. So that's the way, that's the bumping system. It's mixed up that way.
I didn't hear the answer to the question. How can you get rid of the unions entirely out of the government?
I don't think you can, nor am I advocating entirely that it should happen. What I'm suggesting is the best price should prevail, is what should happen. The landscaping union right now handles about 6 county buildings, and we have 10, and we have the private sector landscaper doing the other 4, and so we put it out to bid for the 10, and the private sector came in at a certain price. The union landscapers, who've been familiar with the buildings and low water needs and all the rest, said, you know what, we want to keep our jobs. We will maintain the 10 buildings for the price of what we're doing the 6. And we said, okay, you can keep your job. And that's what happened. I know with the city of San Jose, they were looking at police protection for the airport. And San Jose was asked for a price, the sheriff gave a price, which I think was lower than the police, and I think the police now reevaluate if they can provide the same service. So it's a competitive market out there. If people who belong to a union can provide the same quality of service for the same price, I'm representing your tax dollars. That's what I care about. A lot of CBOs, community-based organizations, mental health, for instance, one mental health group can provide services for 10 people for $1, where the county provides services for 8 people for $1. So I said the dollar should go to the private sector. Now, if the county group can provide for 10, then you got apples to apples. So that's why it's not a definitive automatically get rid of. The problem is the pendulum keeps swinging too far. 9/11 hit, and the awareness of public safety, police and fire, was increased. And the 3% a year, the 2.5% a year got raised to 3% a year. And the 55-year retirement got dropped to 50 year, and it went too far. The stock market hit 14,000, and the private sector was paying engineers this and that, and planners this and that, and giving them stock options. And the county said, we better raise what we pay people in order to be competitive. So they did that. Then the stock market bust, And the company said, goodbye, you're out of here, we don't need you now. And the county was stuck at this higher level. The pendulum swings too far. We need to go in the middle.
Hi, Mike, first of all, I want to thank you for coming to the county, because before you got there, I was the only conservative. And the next thing I want to ask you that nobody's ever been able to answer for me is, the county provides us with this great benefit of free light rail passes or free VTA. And I'm just wondering why it's an all or nothing proposition, and if you just can't find some cuts there.
Sure. This little badge, this little thing back here is a Echo Pass. And the county made a deal with VTA to buy these Echo Passes. So all county employees have this on there so they can ride light rail, VTA, etc. It's to encourage the use of the light rail system that's there. I know a bunch of people that use it, including a couple of my staff members. I know a bunch of people that don't use it. The argument is, why pay it for everybody? I haven't looked into the numbers. I had bigger fish to fry, but now it may be that we're paying X for this, which I know is a discounted rate. Okay, it's not 15,000 employees at $10 a year. Okay, you pay $150,000. It's some discounted rate for volume discount that the county gets with VTA, so that's nice. But it might be cheaper that we simply pay for every person that wants it. Okay, so instead of paying for 15,000 people, maybe there's 4,000 people that say we use it. It might be cheaper for the county to pay VTA full price for 4,000 than half price for 15,500. So, absolutely, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Mike, for coming, and Pete and Mike, great presentations, and it really shows that we have some good leadership. My question for you, Pete, was how did this insanity come about? We got 6 votes for fiscal conservatism. That seems more of a question than the other way around. All right. Anyway, certificate of appreciation for Mike, distinguished guest speaker. Great job.